Attention Massachusetts home buyers. Your choice, a loyal real estate agent or something else. Massachusetts just revised their mandatory real estate licensee consumer relationship disclosure effective January 24th, 2017. The basics of the disclosure didn't change, only the words and layout changed. Rather than clarifying a consumer's choice, the form is even more confusing. The not-for-profit Massachusetts Association of Buyer Agents, MABA, wants to make sure that home buying consumers are aware of their actual choices that aren't clear with this recent revision. So we start by asking the question, does a real estate company work for you or against you? It makes a big financial difference. Real estate companies in Massachusetts must disclose how they are going to work with you at the first personal meeting with you. Members of the Massachusetts Association of Buyer Agents, MABA, will only offer to be your loyal agent at all times and in every situation. You never have to fear that their dedication and loyalty to you will vanish. Other real estate companies may not be completely dedicated to you. They may initially offer to be your buyer's agent, but they reserve the right to later downgrade their relationship with you. This is to protect the in-house sale and the commission on both the buy and sell sides of a transaction. They are now in a situation of trying to help a seller get the highest price and best terms, and trying to help a buyer get the lowest price and best terms. They are also in conflict with both the buyer and seller, as they now want to double dip commissions and make a deal generally without regard to the best interests of neither the seller nor the buyer. A traditional real estate company in Massachusetts will generally have an office policy of either designated agency or something called non-designated agency. When you take a look at a copy of the Massachusetts Mandatory Real Estate Licensee Consumer Relationship Disclosure, the licensee first checks the seller's agent or buyer's agent or facilitator box, and then checks either the non-designated agency or designated agency box. A facilitator is really a non-agent, whereby they may assist the buyer and the seller, but nothing else, and thus is not appropriate for a home buyer. In the case of non-designated agency, the real estate company and all of their agents can start out representing the buyer. But if the buyer is interested in a property listed by another agent in the office, in-house transaction, the brokerage and all the agents become dual agents, neither representing the buyer or the seller, but rather taking a neutral position. In the case of designated agency, only the so-called designated agent for the buyer is responsible to the buyer, and the buyer is put on notice that the brokerage and all other agents in the company may in fact represent the seller against them. However, the broker or designating agent is a dual agent and they must take a neutral position. The form doesn't point out that designated agency is a form of dual agency. This is an important omission that could lead you to believe that the designated agent really is your legal agent. The designated agent is employed by and is a representative of the broker. The broker is a dual agent, and thus the designated agent is a dual agent as well, and thus not really your legal agent. Also missing from this disclosure form is a description of exclusive agency and single agency. Members of the Massachusetts Association of Buyer Agents, MABA, are either exclusive buyer agents or true single agents. Exclusive buyer agents must work for a company that always represents buyers and never represents sellers or takes listings. Single agency MABA firms may represent either sellers or buyers, but never both in the same transaction. All MABA members must agree in writing to be true fiduciary agents and to never operate as a dual agent or a designated agent or a facilitator, as none of these are beneficial for a buyer. Another missing piece in this revised disclosure is a description of what informed consent is and how important that is to buyers. You will find reference in the disclosure to express and informed written consent but no further definition or description. Informed consent means that a real estate licensee has the duty to explain to you any and all consequences of you agreeing to dual agency or to designated agency. That is not possible. There are an unlimited number of potential conflicts that real estate licensees don't understand and thus can't explain to you. Thus, real estate licensees don't inform you, and thus you can't give informed consent. So consumers, under pressure from the licensee, give their consent even though it is, in essence, uninformed consent. This really is a violation of the law and a major drawback to this disclosure, leading to a buyer not really understanding what they just agreed to. Back in the 1980s, only sellers of real estate were represented. Sellers were clients of the real estate company, and all buyers were customers. The not-for-profit Massachusetts Association of Buyer Agents, MABA, helped bring buyer representation to Massachusetts and continues that homebuyer dedication today. MABA agents have saved their fully represented clients millions of dollars in home purchases since the association was established in 1991. Your choice of a MABA agent will provide you with 100% loyalty 100% of the time. Call 800-935-6222 or go to www.massbuyeragents.org to get a free list of all companies who are members of the Massachusetts Association of Buyer Agents who serve the towns you are interested in, or to get more information about MABA. Again, call 800-935-6222 or go to www.massbuyeragents.org.